Hey everybody, what's up? Happy Monday. I think it's Monday. Happy Monday, happy new moon, happy almost March equinox. It is a really strange time right now. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely get the sense of this weird sort of in-between kind of like, I don't know, it's like this dreamy quality to the energies lately. Like it seems to be, I don't know, we're in this very interesting place and it's hard for me to describe. And I don't want to get too caught up in talking about, I don't want to stray too far from the topic today. I want to talk about this idea, this message, this theme that came through in a session the other day with a client, truth and alignment. And it's something that has been really, important in my life as of late. And I think that we can all relate to this topic in a way. I just want to say hi to everybody. I feel like it has been forever since we have connected. I'm here in Los Angeles. It's been about a week since I've been here. I think I'm officially like unpacked and moved in. I put all my clothes away yesterday. I've gotten everything organized for the most part. And I'm really excited to be connecting with you guys. I just, I've had this intention to do a live video for like the past 3 days, and the days just keep getting away from me. And I just keep getting like this, this weird, like my energy fluctuations have been all over the map. Like I wake up and, I'm kind of exhausted and then have like this big peak of energy. And then I find myself just wanting to sleep. So I know things are kind of intense right now. I know things are sort of all over the map. And hopefully today's discussion can bring maybe a little bit of clarity, I hope, a little bit of insight. Maybe it can be entertaining and illuminating, maybe a little inspiring, I don't know. That's my hope. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be connecting with you guys. Give me a thumbs up or a heart or an emoji if you have been feeling the equinox energies coming in. I have been feeling them for several days now. I recently wrote an article that you can find on my Facebook page. It's also on my blog, Andrew Martin Energy. And I posted the link on my Facebook page, and it is entitled Outside of Time. And it's all about sort of the themes and what I'm seeing coming up for the equinox for us. And whether you're, in the northern hemisphere and it's spring equinox, or you're in the southern hemisphere and it's fall equinox, it doesn't really matter. I always think of equinoxes as the equinox and the solstice. I always think of them as like save points. I think of that as like a video game, right? You sort of mark this moment in the passage of time, and we sort of save our progress. And I always feel like it's a big level up in terms of like the new foundation or the new normal or the new frequency. But things have been kind of weird lately and sort of indescribable. And I felt like it's almost like this dreamlike quality to the energies. It's almost this sense of not being outside of my life, but it is kind of outside of time. Like things don't seem to be bound by the old rules anymore. And I think it's really interesting when we find ourselves in this place of feeling very untethered and very sort of ungrounded, or maybe we are grounded, but we still have this sense of like this dreamy, sort of watery, very fluid experience within the energies. Before we get into it, I want to tell you guys about 2 events that I have coming up really quick. This Thursday, I have an online event. It is from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. It is the March Equinox Energy Transmission, and this is an online version, so anybody can join from anywhere in the world. When you sign up, even if you're unable to attend live, you do get the MP3 recording. And this is going to be 90 minutes of intuitive guidance, channeled information, question and answer, discussion, and then the sound healing work that I do. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really powerful. I can already tell the energies are getting really big and really, I don't know, there's a lot of layers to the energy right now, and it feels so rich and so dense. So I want to let you guys know about that. It's this Thursday. You can go to my Facebook page, Andrew Martin Energy, or go to my website and click on the events tab. Again, my website is andrewmartin.energy. You can sign up for that. It's done via Zoom, so you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Then on Friday night here in Los Angeles at the House of Intuition, I'm doing the live version of that, the Equinox Energy Transmission. That's 2 hours from 7 to 9 p.m. We're about halfway full, so if you aren't signed up, I recommend doing it now because we limit it to like 40 people or 45 people, I think, max, because their space is pretty small. And that's going to be the same thing: discussion, question and answer, channeled information, intuitive guidance, and then a lot of sound healing and energy work at the end of the meeting, the event. So I'm really, really excited to be offering these two events for you guys. And hopefully, my intention is to have a lot more events coming up. So let's get into it. It's this idea lately has been coming up a lot for me and in sessions and just in my own experience. This idea that we are really outside of time and that our experience is much more fluid than it has ever been, and that we have this new vista. It's like this new landscape has opened up into our reality, and it is really, really malleable, and it is really, really responsive. And I feel like we are in the source field. We are in that raw energy more and more. I don't know, it feels like we're more connected. It feels like all these layers of density that we have been peeling back and letting go of, and all the stuff that we've been doing for, raise your hand, give me a heart or a thumbs up if you feel like this has been going on forever. I mean, don't you feel like, and this is the thing, I know this is the case. From my human perspective, I think, God, when is it going to be over already? Can't we just get to the finish line? Can't we just get to the point where I can just, take my bra off and just relax and be done with it? And that's the human self. And then my true self, my divine self, my eternal infinite self, my higher self, creator self, whatever it is that we want to call it, we can give it whatever name we want. Then that I have that moment of like, God, please, can't we just get to the finish line already? And then there is that reality that comes in and says, but Andrew, there is no ending. There is no finish line. There's always a new level of awareness. There's always a higher perspective. There's always a new frequency and a new bandwidth to move in and out of. So we never get it done. And I think that when we can really allow ourselves to rest in that and live in that truth, it does ease some of the pressure. Now, granted, I know that many of us get sort of panicked and we get kind of, anxious or a little bit nervous about this idea that there is no ending, because the mind only ever wants to achieve, right? And to win, right? We want to know, where's the finish line so I can be first? Where is the finish line so I can get across it? Where is the experience that is going to prove to me that I am done, or that I've done it right, or that I am successful, right? The mind is always looking for those sorts of experiences. The true self, the divine self, the creator self says, it's all good. It's all amazing. It's eternal and it's infinite. So I'm not looking for an ending. What I'm looking for is an experience, and that's what we came here to have. But I do want to talk about how do we proceed through the energies right now specifically, but really just generally speaking. I find that we are oftentimes, so often I hear I'm out of alignment. I'm looking for alignment. I can't find alignment. I feel out of whack. I need to find balance. I need to get back into alignment. And one of my mottos, one of the things that I say all of the time, and if you've been following me for any length of time, you've heard me say this probably a million times, which is, only you know what truth feels like. And to me, truth and alignment are the same thing. Truth and alignment are found in the same place. And when I feel that I am out of alignment, or when there's something that comes into my experience that I feel sort of knocks me out of alignment, or all of a sudden I'm in a place where I feel unsure or uncertain or frustrated, or I feel this sort of resistance coming up in my experience, I always feel like in those moments it's because there's something that is not true that I believe, or that I am trying to hold up as truth. Or there is something that is no longer true for me, right? An old idea, an old pattern, an old belief, an old way of coping or of being that doesn't serve me anymore. And I'm still trying to cling on to that thing and really, really wanting it to be true, right? We talk about this when we talk about the concept of the comfort zone. And that the comfort zone is not where growth occurs. The comfort zone is not where, we're doing our visionary work. The comfort zone is not where we're changing or challenging or stepping outside of our, our known existence. The comfort zone is where we get a little lazy, where we get a little soft, where we get a little sloppy, where we get a little complacent. And to move ourselves beyond that requires us to always be accepting what is in front of us and being willing to amend or evolve or edit or change what is true for us. And this is what I mean by that. When I am out of alignment, when I feel that, oh, this doesn't feel right, or, oh, God, I just, there's something that feels kind of sideways, right? It's incongruent. It's because there is something that is not true that I am either believing is true or I am trying desperately to sort of bring it into the moment with me, right? Again, an old idea, an old pattern, an old belief, and I really want it to be true. Because it's either what I know and it's what I'm comfortable with, or it's like my security blanket, my safety blanket, the struggle blanket is what I call it sometimes. And to be willing to let go of our expectations, to be willing to let go of those old versions of self, oftentimes is what is required to bring us into alignment. Alignment and truth and home, to me, are the same thing. And I have been talking about this for a while because for the past 2 years, I have not had a living situation that has been comfortable for me. And for the past year especially, in 2016, I was living, my living situation was not conducive to my happiness and to my joy. And I won't go into the details, I'll spare you all the details, but it was a really, really challenging year. And then at this time last year, which it blows my mind that it's already been a year since I moved to New York. I can't believe that. And at this time last year, I was getting ready to leave Seattle and move to New York. And then I was in New York for 5 or 6 months, and then I moved to my parents for a couple of months, and then I moved to San Francisco for several months, and now I've moved down here just a week ago. And one of the things that I have found myself really, really desperate for and really, really thirsty for is the idea of home. And what I have learned is the true meaning for myself of that saying, home is where the heart is. And I believe it now more than ever that home is something I carry with me. Home is something that I feel. Home is something that I sense and that I know from an energetic standpoint, from that emotional standpoint, from the sense of like, yes, this feels like home. And home for me is different than what home is for you. Again, only you know what truth feels like. And really, to me, truth, home, and alignment, those are all the same word. They all mean the same thing to me. Because when I learn how to carry the feeling of home within me and I put it in my pocket, then I can be at home anywhere. And this is something that I have talked about a lot in different iterations or different versions of this, is this idea of whenever we want something, we have to learn how to cultivate and nurture it within ourselves first, because that's where it all starts. The genesis of everything is internal. And I see this a lot oftentimes with relationships, for an example. People come to me and they say, Andrew, I want to be in a relationship. Where's my partner? Where's my spouse? Where's my wife? Where's my husband? My boyfriend, my girlfriend, whatever. And then I ask them, okay, tell me about your relationship. What does that feel like for you? When you envision your perfect relationship or your dream relationship, what does that feel like? What does that look like? Give me some details. Give me some information. And so often people can't really tell me. They can't give me a really apt description. And oftentimes if they can give me a description, they're talking about, well, someone who does nice things for me, or someone who's really, really kind, or someone who's, successful, or someone who's funny. And those are all important things. Someone who's physically attractive. Trust me, those are all important things. And when I talk about, my ideal relationship, I have all those things on my list too. But the most important thing is, what does love feel like for you? What does truth feel like for you? What feels safe? What feels healthy? What feels sustainable? And if you don't know what that feels like and you can't name it, love could be staring you right in the face and you would have no idea. How on earth can we expect to be given something that we don't even know how to connect with? Right? For me, this past year, the idea of home has been this very abstract thing. And what I realize now, what home means for me is something that's very, very different than what it used to mean. But for me, it's a feeling, it's a sense. And when we're talking about things that we want, if I want love in my life, if I want divine partnership in my life, then I need to create that with myself. Because how am I ever going to recognize it unless I know what it feels like? I know what it looks like. I know the sense of like, yes, this feels right. This feels safe. This feels healthy. This feels true. And whenever we're out of alignment, whenever we feel sideways or I don't, that gross feeling and we can't really give it words, it's always about truth. Your alignment and your truth are the same thing. And give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me an emoji if you are a person, and I will raise my hand absolutely to be in that group, to say that alignment is something that I always feel like I'm seeking in some way, right? I got to get in alignment and then I can choose, or I got to get in alignment and then I can start my day. I got to get in alignment and then I'll understand. I got to get in alignment and then maybe I'll receive the insight or the information or the intuitive hit or whatever it is. You know, that's why things like meditation and yoga and Tai Chi and journaling and free writing, that's why they're so useful, because they help us find silence. They help us find that stillness, because I'm going to tell you, stillness and silence is where we always find the truth. That's where we find that voice. That's where we find that connection to our alignment, to our true self. And if you don't know how to find silence, if you don't know how to be in silence, if you don't know what that voice sounds like, then you got to learn. You got to teach yourself. Raise your hand, give me a heart, give me an emoji or a thumbs up if you are one that you feel like, I don't know where my voice is. I don't know where my intuition is. I can't find it. I can't hear it. I don't know where my guides are. I hear this all the time. Andrew, where are my guides? I can't hear them. I can't see them. What are their names? But it's always found in silence. It's always found in stillness. You've got to start there first. And when we find that alignment, when we find that truth, when we find that voice, that's when things start to connect. That's when things start to open up. Truth and alignment are the same thing. And when I am trying like hell to hold on to something that used to be the truth for me, and for whatever reason, I don't want to let it go, because either I don't want to see what's here, right? I want to avoid this thing, so I'm going to hang on to this thing because it lets me avoid it. Or I don't want to, I don't want to move outside of the comfort zone. I don't want to go beyond. I don't want to do the work. I'm afraid. I'm unsure. I don't know. And that's okay. But it's this idea that we cannot, I talked about this in the article that I just wrote, again, on my Facebook. It's also on my blog. It's the March Equinox, outside of time. When we talk about dimensions, right? We talk a lot about the third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, on up. We talk a lot about ascension. To me, dimensions and frequencies are the same thing. I just see them as layers of bandwidth, right? And so we can have the 3D bandwidth, the 4D, the 5D, and on up. And so when people are talking about, or when I'm talking about moving in and out of dimensions, I'm just talking about you're moving in and out of layers of consciousness. You're moving in and out of bandwidths of energy and of frequency. It's just like the radio, right? I can't listen to rock and roll if I'm tuned to the jazz station. So I got to find that frequency of the station that I want to be in. And so if we think of a bandwidth of awareness, if we think of a bandwidth of energy and a frequency as a dimensional experience, and it creates my awareness, I gotta keep moving. If I want to rise, if I want to move up, if I want to take on a new perspective or a higher perspective, or one that is less dense, or a frequency that is more enlightened, more crystalline, more lightful, I gotta rise. I gotta move up. And let's just make this really simple. If I'm holding on to a 3D belief, if I'm holding on to a belief in this bandwidth or this frequency, there's no way that that is compatible with this frequency up here, because they just don't match. So in order to move on, in order to move through an experience, in order to let go of an idea or a belief and discard it, understand it, open it up, make peace with it, and then just let it go, I've got to be willing to turn. I've got to be willing to look. I've got to be willing to open up and really get in and look at these things that are holding me back, because a block or a barrier is just a part of ourselves that we don't recognize, right? It's just a part of myself I haven't made peace with yet, and I've got to be willing to let that go. The old versions of Andrew, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was just taking a moment to sort of look back on my experience, especially the past 6 years, and realizing that who I was even 2 years ago, even a year ago, is a completely different version of the person that you see before you now. And there is no way that I can proceed and progress in my experience if I am still hanging on to who I was a year ago. And those versions of identity, those layers of identity, they've got to go. I've got to let them go. You just let it go and let it fall away, and it peels off another layer and we move up, and it peels off another layer and we move up. And it is that continuous journey up the spiral ladder. And in our journey up the spiral ladder, the rung that we are reaching for inevitably becomes the one that we are standing on. But in order for that to happen, you've got to keep climbing. And when we are in these places like we are in right now with these equinox energies and the new moon that it was a couple of days ago, I mean, this is a really powerful energy sandwich that we are in right now between the new moon and the equinox. We oftentimes find ourselves without stability. We oftentimes find ourselves without a plan. We oftentimes find ourselves in a life that we don't recognize, and we go, who the fuck's life is this? I don't know how I got here. What's going on? Who am I? Where am I? What's going on? You know, for me, it's been like, dear God, I get it. Home is where the heart is, but I really want more than anything for my home and my heart to be in the same place for more than 6 months at a time. And we oftentimes find ourselves lost. Raise your hand, give me a heart, give me a thumbs up if you have found yourself lost, especially over the past 3 months of this year so far. I know it's been super intense, and a lot of us have had to let go of a lot of things. We've had to move in new directions. There have been these total 180s. A lot of us have had these abrupt endings in relationships or friendships. Like all of a sudden, it's like someone just totally goes off the reservation, and we're like, who the fuck is this? Where did this come from? Endings of relationships, endings of friendships, endings of jobs. And also very rapid and abrupt new beginnings. There's been a lot of like, where the hell did that come from, right? Overnight, literally in the span of 24 hours, I have seen lives change. So I get that many of us are feeling uneven and untethered and insecure or not secured in our experience, right? We're finding ourselves in this sort of wobbly, dreamy, sort of wonky place. When I have found alignment within by connecting to my truth, I no longer require the external world to bring me alignment. When I have found safety within, when I have connected to what is true for me and what makes me feel safe, what is it that I require to feel safe in my experience, when I have cultivated that within myself and I carry it with me, I no longer require the external world to be safe for me because I make myself safe. Peace, love, joy, fulfillment, all of those things. I cannot expect my external experience to bring them to me if I have not found them inside of me first. If I don't carry it with me, I will never see it reflected back to me. This is one of my other things I always say. The primary reality is here. It is internal. And the secondary reality is out here. The primary reality always informs the secondary reality and always creates it. Same thing when I find something chronic in my life and I'm like, why can't I get over this money issue? Why can't I get over this relationship issue or this health issue or this whatever? Whatever it is that I feel is out of sorts within me, it's because there is something within my frequency, my field somewhere that is incongruent to my truth. Because we never create above our lowest belief, and a belief creates a vibration. Our vibration is created by all sorts of things, and one of the big ones is belief. I never create above my lowest belief. So if I'm walking around thinking that, yeah, I want a relationship, yeah, I want to be in a partnership, yeah, I want to be in love, but somewhere within me there's this belief that I can't have it, it's not for me, it's never going to happen, people like me just don't fall in love, love is dangerous, love is not safe. Love is something that's only for those people over there. It's never going to come to me, not because I don't deserve it or that I'm not worthy of it. It's because there is something within me that keeps upending it, that keeps knocking it out of alignment. Alignment and truth are the same thing. So when I'm feeling that something in my life is not what I want it to be, or something is here that I'm like, where the hell did this come from? Or why can't I reconcile this thing? It is always an opportunity for me to go internal, to meet myself where I am, and to find out what part of me is it that's asking for love that I have perhaps overlooked or ignored or just kind of blown off or said, okay, well, I'll deal with that later. Maybe next week or next month or next year or next lifetime, I'll get to that. And we all have those things. Let's be honest, it's part of the human condition. But we are at this place right now, and as we are moving towards the equinox, and as we are moving towards the last part of this year, I can't believe that we're almost into April. Anything that is not in alignment with who we are, anything that is not true, that we are still trying to live, anything that is not true that we are still trying to avoid, and we don't want to have the difficult conversation. I don't want to do the thing. I don't want to rip the Band-Aid off. I don't want to walk away. I don't want to end it, or whatever it is. That's like throwing sand in the gears. It's going to bring us to a screeching halt, because where we are now is we're sort of done with this get out of jail free thing. I mean, I will raise my hand and say that for the past 6 years, there's been several things that I was like, no, I'll just deal with that later. And there was plenty to keep me busy. There was always something else to sort of work on or deal with, right? So I didn't have to deal with a lot of my core issues or, the big core issue. And now we're finding ourselves, whatever it is that we have not been dealing with, whatever it is that we have just sort of brushing to the side, we gotta love it. We gotta find a way to live through it. We gotta find a way to make peace with it so that it can be released, so that that sand can be washed out of the gears. So if our truth and our alignment and home are the same thing, if I don't feel at home in my life, it's because there's just something in there that I'm not really owning up to, that I'm not really looking at clearly and honestly, or that perhaps is asking for a new perspective, right? It may be that what was true for me 3 years ago was super on point, right? It was true and it was awesome and it was amazing. And now it's different, and I haven't really taken the time to get in there and really look at what do I really feel, or what do I really believe, or what do I really need now? Am I willing to ask for what I need? Am I willing to accept it when it shows up? See, these are all of these things that are really coming up for review right now. And when it all goes away, when the dust settles and we've just let it all go, it always comes back to truth and alignment are the same thing. So when we find ourselves feeling out of whack, it's because there's something that is true or not true that we're just not being honest with ourselves about. And it could be because we just don't know. We haven't taken the time to pay attention to it. So the truth has yet to be revealed. And sometimes the truth is that there's nothing to do but care for myself. So alignment is don't do anything. Alignment is take a nap. Alignment is clean your closet. Alignment is get your financial papers in order. Alignment is return those emails that you've been putting off. Some days the truth is you got a lot to do. So today alignment is getting busy. Today alignment is recording the video or sending the email or having the conversation or doing the thing. So alignment and truth are always the same thing, but what that requires of us will always be different. Sometimes it's about action and being in our masculine energy and being assertive and moving forward. Sometimes it's about being receptive and receiving and allowing and being in the more feminine state. So what our truth requires of us is going to be different from moment to moment. That's why I say only you know what truth feels like. And in the end, the only person that has to feel good about your choices and your actions is you. Now, sure, if you've got a spouse and kids and people that rely on you, then yeah, of course you need to take perhaps their needs into consideration as well, right? It's easy for me to say as a single person with no kids, if I want to do something, I can just do it. I don't need to run it by anybody else. But in the end, the only person that has to feel good about my choices is me. And if it doesn't make sense to my friends or my family or the people that are close to me, maybe I can explain it to them, maybe I can't. But in the end, it doesn't matter what they think about my choices. Because if I am proceeding on my path, if I am choosing what feels true and right for me, that is ultimately the only thing that matters. Because I am the only one that can be Andrew. I am the only one that can be the expression of my divine self through this experience called Andrew, and I'm the one that's responsible for that and accountable for that, because that's what I signed on for. So finding your truth and finding your alignment, finding home are all the same thing. And when you go into your internal space, and I'm going to give you a really, really simple way to discern. Discernment is your greatest tool, especially when, and I say this all the time too, this is like Andrew's greatest hits. Your discernment on the spiritual path, when you are listening to and seeking advice from and guidance from other people such as myself, whether it's through a video like this or a written article or a session and a one-on-one, reading or energy work or whatever it is that you're doing, discernment is your greatest tool. It's your greatest ally. It's your greatest asset, because again, only you know what truth feels like. And if it doesn't feel true for you, then it's not true for you. And you don't need to know why. And maybe it doesn't feel true for you now, but in 6 months it will. And that's okay. So you're the only one that really has to feel good about the choices that you're making. You're the only one that really has to know, yeah, this feels right for me. This feels true for me. So finding that truth and finding that alignment oftentimes can be really confusing. And so there is a really simple way that I want to share with you. Truth feels like, because here's the thing, in every single moment with every single choice and every single decision, as simple as it gets, we're either moving towards our truth or away from it. That's as simple as it gets. And if we're proceeding with the belief that only we know what truth feels like for us, then we know, does this feel like I'm moving towards my truth, or does this feel like I'm moving away from it? And if you're moving away from your truth, you're denying yourself, you're avoiding something, you're ignoring something, and that feels constrictive, that feels limiting, that feels small, that feels oppressive, that feels like you're being squished, that feels critical, that feels judgmental, that feels like someone waving their finger at you and saying, you've done a bad job, you're a very bad boy, you're a very bad girl, you're a sinner, you're broken, you're awful. That is not truth. That is the opposite of what truth feels like. When we are moving towards our truth, it feels like an exhale. It feels like a relief. It feels like it's moving me up. It feels like it's moving me forward. It feels like it has freed me from something. It feels like I just took off the constricting, limiting, oppressive, Truth feels expansive. Truth feels free. Truth feels open and positive. I think it's Martha Beck. There's that book, Steering by Starlight. And she says it's shackles on, shackles off. Shackles off is what truth feels like, right? It feels like you're free. Shackles on is not true, because that feels limiting and it holds you back, and it feels like it's sort of weighing down on you. It's a burden. And even if we have made, and here's the thing, oftentimes truth means ending a relationship, ending a job, making a big decision, getting really, really real, and taking a huge leap. That can feel very scary. But if we're honest, there oftentimes is accompanied this sense of relief of like, yeah, I'm really, really kind of freaked out that I have to tell so-and-so that I want to break up with him, or that I have to tell my boss that I want to quit this job, or that whatever it is, the big decision that I have to make, the big conversation I have to have. And I might be nervous and I might be anxious, but there's still a sense of like, I just drop into that truth. So you take a breath, you close your eyes, and you get into that internal place, and you just find your connection, and then you just ask yourself, when I think about doing this, I feel ... When I think about doing that, I feel ... And you just feel the sense of, yeah, okay, it's a scary choice and I don't really want to do it, but it feels true. It feels like relief. Another really simple thing you can do is flip a coin. And this is one that I use a lot for myself. Now, not necessarily using the coin flip to make the decision, but you can say, all right, heads, I'm going to do it, and tails, I'm not. And I flip and I get heads and I go, oh, I don't really want to do it. That at least gives me insight into what it is, or how I feel about what it is that I'm being asked to do, or that it's time to do. The reason that we're talking about this today, the reason that I want to share this with you guys, is this is where we are right now. Read that article, Outside of Time, again on my Facebook or on my blog, andrewmartin.energy. And it talks about this, how we're moving into this space energetically where we are unbound by time. We are unbound by the past. We are unbound by all of these old ideas. And oftentimes that can make us feel really kind of crazy and really, really lost, because if I'm not the Andrew that I was a year ago or 6 months ago, or hell, even yesterday, who am I? And the mind is panicking, scrambling, trying to figure out who am I and what's my role and what box can I put myself in. When the soul says, hey, we're just moving, we're just experiencing, we're just moving in and out of these bandwidths of reality. We're moving in and out of these frequencies and these energies and these layers. And this is the joy of the experience and the excitement of the adventure. But the mind is always looking for the point of reference. The mind is always looking for, but who am I within this experience, separate from everything else, right? So when we are in these moments of feeling really, it's very watery and it's very malleable and very fluid right now, we're not always going to have the stability or that anchor of that one point of reference outside of us. It's in here. It's in here. The point of reference is always here. And even in the midst of total chaos and total insanity and a world that doesn't make any sense, I can still find my truth. I can still find my alignment. And now I don't require the world outside of me to give me that so that I can feel aligned. I can find alignment and then say, I'm aligned and I found what's true for me and I'm proceeding from that. And I know that now it's only a matter of time before my external reality shifts and changes to mirror that. Because when I carry truth in my pocket, when I carry alignment with me, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what's going on out here because I found it and I know what it is and I'm connected to that and my allegiance is to that. I have to be unflinching and unwavering in my allegiance to my truth. And the longer I hold on to it, the clearer I become on it, the more I vibrate from that place, the world around me must change to reflect it. That's the way it works. Now, don't get it twisted. Just because I say, oh, yeah, well, I carry safety and alignment with me, it doesn't mean I'm going to go into environments and into places to put myself at risk, to put myself at danger. I'm not going to be crazy about it, right? Sure, I don't need the world out here to give me safety in order to feel safe, but I also don't need to go into a place where I am consciously and deliberately putting myself in an unsafe situation just to test it. Good luck with that one, right? So we need to be practical, right? There is still that level of, well, I have to do what's right? For me, I have to do what makes sense for me. I have to make choices and decisions that allow me to be in a place that supports my alignment. So sure, I choose alignment and I find my truth and then I proceed and I know, you know what? It's just easier for me to be in alignment over here. And if I don't have to go over there, then why would I? You know, it's like Jan Van Zant says, when you see crazy coming down the street, you don't wave and invite it over for lunch. I can love you as an aspect of the divine unconditionally from over here. I don't have to sit and chat with you in order to honor who and what I know that you are. So it's okay. We still get to have opinions and we still get to have the personality. It's not about completely being void of that, but it is about allowing ourselves to find that connection and understanding that this will carry us forward. This will carry us through. And in those moments when we don't see it and we feel lost and we feel desperate, find that truth within you and then say, I am open to receiving the opportunities. I am open to receiving the resources. I am open to connecting to collaborators and the experiences that will support me in the sense of truth that I have found. I have found my alignment, and now I ask the universe to bring to me a reality that will reflect that. And I am willing to move in that direction. Here's the thing, it's not always going to make sense to the logical, rational mind. The choices that we need to make or that we're inspired to make from that place of truth won't always be easy, convenient, or comfortable. But truth has no interest in easy, convenient, or comfortable. The divine self, the creator self, the higher self has no investment or attachment to easy, convenient, or comfortable because those are just human creations anyway. So just because the choice that you've made feels a little difficult, feels a little challenging, feels a little bit big and daunting, doesn't mean that it's the wrong one. In fact, oftentimes the big radical leaps from here to there are the things that jumpstart and give us sort of that shortcut to the ending or the resolution that we're looking for, but we have to be willing to make that jump. Because the truth is always simple. The truth is always simple. It only becomes difficult or complicated when we try to deny it, when we try to hide it, when we try to avoid it, when we try to change it. The truth is always simple. And when something is true, here's a big one, when something is true, it is always true. Barbara Marciniak talks about this in Bringers of the Dawn, her work with the Pleiadians. And she says, there's capital T truth, which is the eternal truth, and then there's little t truth, which is the human truth. Now, the human truth isn't less important, but it's just not eternal, right? And I am Andrew, is a little t truth, because that's not always going to be true. I'm not always going to be Andrew. The story of Andrew has a beginning and an end. The big T truth is that I am the infinite eternal self that has come to experience Andrew. That's the big T truth. So understanding that little t truth is just as important, but if something is true, it is always true. So, you know, am I seeing this from my human perspective, or am I seeing this from my divine higher perspective, right? That's the beauty of living in this way and living in this time, is that we can flip our perspective. I can go in and out of Andrew's awareness or the awareness of my creator self, and they're both true in their own way. But only you know what that truth feels like. And when you're seeking alignment, you're also seeking truth. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that this helps bring some clarity. I hope that this helps sort of maybe shift your perspective. I'm really, really excited for what's coming. I'm so, so thankful and so grateful for you. Your support and, you know, your time that you give me and the attention that you give me is really, really a privilege, because you don't have to spend, you know, what has this been, like half an hour or something? You don't have to give me your time, and you do, and I appreciate it. You don't have to give me your attention, and you do, and I appreciate it. You don't have to follow and share and repost, and you do, and I appreciate it. You don't have to come to my events and sign up and give me your hard-earned money and your precious time and attention, but you do. And that is the privilege of a lifetime. I mean, when I started this journey 6 years ago, and when I started my YouTube channel just because I had to share what was going on with me, and I had no way of knowing of what the fuck was going on, and I thought I might be crazy, I might be losing my mind, but I just have to share this because somebody else out there must be going through this too. And to see the response, and to see the support, and to see the love that you consistently show up with humbles me beyond belief. It is a joy and a privilege to do this. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up and sharing with me and connecting with me and continuing to show up in your lives and do your own work. So check out on my Facebook, Andrew Martin Energy, YouTube, Andrew Martin Energy, Instagram, obviously, Andrew Martin Energy. Website is andrewmartin.energy. My 2 events, Thursday night is the online one from 6 to 7:30. You can find it on my Facebook. You can find it on my website. That is the hour-and-a-half Equinox, online Equinox energy transmission from 6 to 7:30 Pacific. Again, you get the MP3 if you can't attend live. It's like $22 for an hour and a half of energy work, intuitive insight, channeled guidance, and question and answer. Same thing Friday night, but for 2 hours here in Los Angeles live at the House of Intuition. Again, that one's about halfway sold out, and they're going to be promoting it this week, so that one's going to go fast. So sign up for either one. I would love to see you in person or online. You can always book a session with me, my sound healing sessions or my intuitive sessions. You can go to my website, andrewmartin.energy, and you can find my calendar. You can also just click on my Facebook page on the cover. There's a little thing that says book now. And even on my Instagram, there's the Linktree link in there. You click on that, it will give you all of my stuff. So you can sign up directly from Instagram as well. Thanks, you guys. I love you, I love you, I love you. Happy Equinox. Thank you so much for spending time with me this morning. I'll talk to you guys soon. Mwah. Bye.